Coming up today on That LTD Life, I reviewed a lot of cold outreach tools this year, but today we're looking at the best one of the entire year, at least according to AppSumo. This is Reach Inbox. Reach Inbox is back on AppSumo for a limited period of time. This was named the Tool of the Year for 2024 in the email marketing cold outreach category. Now, truth be told, I had never tried Reach Inbox until AppSumo reached out to me and asked to sponsor this video. So I thought, you know what? Let me try it out, show you guys exactly how it works, and give you my thoughts about how I like it. So without further ado, here is exactly how to use the AppSumo Tool of the Year for cold outreach. The first thing you need to do is pick out a plan. And to do this, it's pretty easy. You just need to think about how many emails you actually need to send, because the plans themselves are really generous. You get unlimited almost everything except for monthly active leads. So 5,000, 20,000, 50,000, and you can even go up to tier 4, which gets you 100,000 monthly active leads. Now, if you want to serve clients, you're going to look at tier 2 and above, where you get additional workspaces and you can keep things kind of segmented so that clients don't overlap. You definitely don't want that with cold outreach. But if you're doing this as an agency, definitely look towards tier 4, where we get complete white labeling as well as API access. Okay, so those are the plans. Here's how you actually use the tool. The first thing you'll want to do is go ahead and load in your leads. There's no way to generate leads inside of Reach Inbox. You'll want to use another tool to actually acquire a list. So just head over to this icon right here, the lead list icon, kind of a server looking icon. And then you can either upload a list via CSV, and of course they provide a sample file, or you can connect up to a Google Sheet, or even just enter everything in manually. So here's my lead, I'm entering in myself. Let's hit import. Reach Inbox's user interface feels like a clean executive apartment the entire way. Tons of data is available to you, but it never feels cluttered. So here I can see the total number of leads, how many leads I've actually contacted, how many leads have opened my messages, and the number of bounce messages I've sent. If you've closed any deals, you'll see your completed leads over here as well. You can enter in lead details very easily here. Just click the triple dots and then edit lead details. This will be things like their first and last name, as well as any variables you want to enter, maybe like a business name or, just some kind of reference that you want to use in your cold outreach. More on that in a moment. After your lead list is loaded in, the next thing to do is to connect up your accounts. And this, in my opinion, is where Reach Inbox truly shines. Not only can you load in a singular account, but you can load in multiple accounts. And it's even smart enough to know who the sender is sending to and use the same inbox. It's really crazy. Let me show you. First of all, to add a new inbox, we just click on the little email icon right here and then choose Add New. It supports a ton of different accounts here. You can either connect up Google Workspace via an OAuth, one-click authentication. If you're using Gmail, you can use their standard SMTP setup. Maybe you're connecting up an Outlook account or even just a regular old SMTP IMAP account. That works as well. I think the ideal scenario here would be to add in multiple accounts. One account is probably not exactly how this tool was intended to be used, and you won't be using all of the features if you, say, just load up a single Gmail account. The idea is that you'll always be sending from a fresh, warm account as long as you give it lots of options to choose from. Of course, you could use a single account if you want, but just know that you're kind of limiting yourself there. If it feels too overwhelming to try to manage multiple inboxes on your own, well, don't worry, there's a tool for that later coming up. It's called Onebox. We'll get to that. But if you don't want to even connect up the accounts or set up all of the DNS and those types of things, well, go ahead and use their done for you email setup. You can add as many Google Workspace accounts as you want for as little as $3 a month. And it looks like they're going to be adding support for Office 365 in the future. So keep your eyes open for that. If you don't know a ton about cold outreach, the different email providers themselves, like Google or Outlook, they're kind of the gatekeepers. So to get into their inbox, you got to make sure that you're playing by their rules. And one of the things they really like is when you're sending an email address from an email that they control. So if I'm on Google and I'm sending to another Google user, well, they'll have more information about me and know whether or not I'm trustworthy. So if we can keep that relationship as close to each other as possible, well, that's going to serve us well in terms of our deliverability. Once you get your email account connected, you're going to want to make sure to turn on email warmups. This will make sure that your deliverability is good when you actually start your cold outreach campaigns. So to do this, just click on the triple dots right here, choose warmup settings, and make sure enabled is turned on. The default settings is probably fine. What's going to happen here is they're going to start sending out emails to other users who are also using Reach Inbox. And they're going to automatically open these emails and even automatically reply to them to make it seem like your account is a trustworthy and in-use account. You're not just sending out cold email and not using it for anything else. Now, I probably wouldn't actually send cold email from my primary inbox, so definitely get a different domain for this. But if you do, for some reason, want to also use that same inbox, well, they give you a tag here so that you can filter out all of the warm-up emails and they won't bother you. Just go ahead and set up some filtering for whatever tag they provide for you, and you'll never have to deal with those random messages appearing in your inbox. Okay, so now our list is imported, our email is connected, warm-up is complete. Let's go ahead and send some messages. To do this, we're gonna create a campaign. That's the little paper airplane over here. I really have pity on anyone who has to do UX for something like a cold email outreach tool. How many different metaphors can you have for sending an email? So this is the campaign section over here. This is where we can actually craft our emails. To do this, really simple, just click Add New, give your campaign a name, hit Continue, choose which leads you want to actually send to. You will have the list that you created earlier available to you, but if you want to add some additional lists, you can do it right here inside of the campaign builder. I'm going to use my demo list. That's where I actually added myself earlier in this video. So up top here, you can see the path that we're taking. There is the analytics section, which it kind of skips us past in the initial setup, but we just added in our leads and now we're on to sequences. Now, sequences are the actual messages that are being sent, and we can create these any number of ways. So we can either use AI to generate them from scratch, or they have a pretty decent template library here. Or if you don't want to use either of those and you're just old school, you want to write the message yourself, you can do it completely from scratch too. Let's start off with AI and then I'll show you the template library as well. So let's create using AI. And by the way, the number of messages that you create with AI is going to impact which tier you choose on AppSumo. So with tier 1, you only get 3,000 AI word credits per month. But if you go all the way up to tier 4, you get 50,000 AI word credits per month. So back over in Reach Inbox, if I want to create a single email, I do that over here. Or if I want to create a multiple email sequence, I can do that over here. Now I'm going to stick with the single email for this video because I want to show you templates as well. To get started with AI, however, I need to just basically answer two questions. What is the purpose or goal of the email? And second, what value am I providing to the actual recipient? So let me go ahead and think through this and I'll fill out the form and be right back. All right, I finished the form. I'm going to set up a cold email sequence for home remodelers to help them find high quality clients, do everything for them on the technical side of things, run PPC campaigns, build high quality landing pages, you name it. All they got to do is close the client and build the homes or remodel the homes. So let's use AI here to generate the copy. I'll click the button. And just like that, here we go. We've got a pretty decent looking email. And if I don't like it, I can always regenerate the email right here to get a different spin. I can change the max body length. Usually with cold email, you want to keep it on the shorter end of things. So I think 100 words is pretty good. If I want to get more creative, I'll just dial up that slider. And if I want to use spin tax, I can turn that on as well. I'm going to leave it off for now. We can change the overall tone of the AI writer. Maybe we'll be curious and set the number of paragraphs. Let's do 2 this time. All right, regenerate. And here we go. We've got another email. Now, let's say I wanted to use this one. I just click apply and it's going to add it to my campaign. It's step 1 over here, and I could actually go ahead and further edit it inside this window. Not only that, but I could continue to use AI to further refine or rewrite the email itself. I'll just click on the little disclosure triangle and regenerate the current email to improve the email copy. We get the same screen we saw before, so you literally are never without AI. It's very easy to get into the AI writer again, and I like that a lot. Now, if I wanted to A/B test this email versus another one, it's easy to do that too. Just click Add New right here. This is still in step 1, so now I'm gonna A/B test email 1 versus email 2, which is currently empty. So why don't I fill this up with a template? If I click right over here, this is their template library, and it's pretty well built out. Maybe I'll head over to the real estate professionals section, and here is an email for real estate. Looks pretty good, so I'm gonna use this as my A/B test. Now I could add in a second email to my campaign by just choosing add step. Now notice this is an entirely different email because step 1 has its A/B up here. So add new will add a new A/B test, but add step is gonna add an entirely different section of emails. So here we've got a delay. So it's gonna do step 1 with a 1-day delay and then start step 2. Now I could repeat this same process. I could generate a new email here using AI. I could do it right from scratch, or I could use one of their templates if I prefer. When you're ready to send off your first email, you might want to preview it first. There's a preview button right down here where you can actually see what the email is going to look like and even send a real email to yourself to see exactly what it looks like. Or you could use a service like Mail-Tester to go ahead and see what the deliverability is going to look like. You can save your sequences as templates as well. So if you want to reuse them across different accounts, it's really easy to do that. But for now, I'm done with this campaign. I'm just going to hit save and we can move on to the next step, which is to schedule our campaign. So I'll click over here and I can choose my sending schedule. Right now it's set to go from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the Pacific time zone. I could change this to be more relevant to me. It might be the Central time zone. There we go. And then you can set up the days of the week where you send. Monday through Friday is the default. I'll call it my schedule and hit save. Now, if I wanted to add in a different schedule, I could do that. I can go over here and choose add schedule. And now I've got a different schedule over here. These are going to be templates that I can easily reuse across all of my campaigns. In the options section, I can set up what email accounts are going to be sending for this campaign. So under accounts to use, hit add mailboxes and then just choose the mailboxes that are relevant for this particular campaign. I'll choose the one I connected up earlier and go ahead and save. Every account is going to have a health score. And because I recently connected up this account, it's still warming up and not ready to send. But that'll change soon. Once the account is warmed up, then the campaign can kick off and I can begin sending. In the meantime, let's check out all of these features down here. Stop sending emails on reply. This is enabled by default. This means that if anyone responds to one of your cold outreach messages, the emails will stop automatically. You don't have to worry about continuing to send off an automated campaign after someone's already engaging and asking you questions. Open tracking and link tracking, those are both on by default as well. However, if you want to optimize your deliverability, you click right here and you disable both of those, because if you're not tracking clicks and you're not tracking opens, well, then you're going to have much better deliverability overall because you don't look as much like a marketer or spammer. You can set a daily limit for each campaign as well. The default is 200. You can set up a time gap between emails, and you can also insert unsubscribe links in the headers. Just check this box over here. Now, this one is probably one of my favorite features of the entire tool. It's provider matching, so that when you send out a message, it's going to know who you're sending to. And if you have a matching provider, like we talked about earlier, Google to Google or Outlook to Outlook, it will choose to use that account. So just make sure you connect up, multiple accounts up here at the top under accounts to use so that you can actually use provider matching. This next feature is also super cool. Select providers to target. The idea here is simple. Let's say you don't have multiple inboxes connected. You only are using Google. Well, you know that if you send messages to someone using Outlook, you're more likely to end up in spam, so you don't want to do that. Well, head right over here and then just check off Outlook so that you're not going to email, even if you have leads that are using Outlook, well, those emails will just not go out. That way it will improve your overall score, your overall deliverability for things like Gmail, because those providers talk. And if something is spammy on Outlook, eventually it will end up being spammy on Gmail. So first you get a pristine reputation on Google, and then later on you can enable Outlook and you'll have a better chance of hitting the inbox. Yeah, honestly, this tool is just riddled with all of these little thoughtful features, like the automated out-of-office rescheduler. If you turn this on, it's going to use AI to actually read the out-of-office message that you receive. We've all gotten these, right? You send a message and then instantly get a reply saying, hey, I'm out of office for the next 3 weeks. I'll get back to you later, or send the message to somebody else. Well, if you go ahead and turn this on, it will try to deduce when you're going to be back in the office and then automatically reschedule the campaign to that date. If it can't figure it out, you can set kind of a fallback here to be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or even just skip it if we're not certain. Now, this does take some of your AI credits, but I think it's worth it. That is a really thoughtful feature. We also have things like bounce protection here. So if your account is starting to creep up in the bounce rates, well, you can automatically disable a campaign or pause a campaign if you've got this turned on. Honestly, I think it's a pretty good idea. I'd recommend that most people turn this on. If you hit over 10% bounce rates, you're not going to be hitting the inbox anyway. So it's probably worth it to stop and figure out your deliverability at this point. So there are so many cool options. I've highlighted a few of my favorites, but we got to move on. The next feature is called Subsequences, and they're exactly what they sound like. So let's say your primary sequence is doing pretty well and you get a positive reply. Well, then you can automatically move them into a subsequence, or I guess it could be if they don't reply as well. But this is basically like another branch off of your automation. Let's see how it looks. So we'll add a new subsequence and then we give it a name. The idea here is that if a lead gets marked as a certain status, like interested, meeting booked, meeting completed, something like that, you can have another little drip sequence automatically begin. By the way, you can also start a subsequence if someone's done something as simple as clicked a link, opened an email, or maybe one of the reply has a certain word in it. You can enter that down here and add them to that subsequence. Now, I'm going to go ahead and proceed with a test subsequence here for someone who's booked a meeting. That's the status that I have given the lead. So let's go ahead and continue to the next step. And it's just like the overall sequence builder. We can go ahead and create a sequence in the exact same manner. And by the way, for your contacts, you can set their status by just clicking on the contact right here and then changing the lead status right there. So let's say this person was meeting booked. Well, then they'd be bumped over into my subsequence. Now, after you've been running your campaigns for a while, messages are going to start to come in, but it would be kind of annoying if you had to check multiple inboxes across all of these different senders that you're using, Outlook and Gmail and maybe some SMTP mixed in there as well. So that's why we've got the Onebox, the place where all of the emails are able to be checked in a single location. You can also filter out people by status here. So you head over to your Onebox, you only want to see people who are interested, and you can go ahead and filter them out from there. I mean, this entire thing can even be driven by key commands. It's a real power user inbox. I really like this. Now, all of these features are great on their own, but what if you want to use this tool for clients? How does that work? Well, you'll want to create dedicated workspaces for each client. Notice up in the corner here, it says My Workspace. Well, it could also be Client's Workspace. So I'll just choose the little drop down and then create a brand new workspace. So here is my client workspace. I'm going to create this workspace, and now I can easily toggle between my workspace, my client workspace, and any other workspaces that I have already created. Email accounts set up in my workspace are going to be different than email accounts that are set up in my client's workspace. This one doesn't have any because I just created it. Now, I already mentioned this, but keep in mind that on tier 1, you only get 1 workspace, but if you move up to tier 2, you get 3, and over on tier 4, you get up to 20 workspaces. Tier 3 is 10, by the way. I didn't mean to leave you out. Now, if you do happen to pick up tier 4 and you want to take advantage of all of the agency features, you're definitely going to want to check out the white label features. It's done really nicely in this application, as everything is so far. I'm very impressed with this tool. So the idea is you go over to your settings. That's where I am inside of the settings, which can be found down here in your user avatar. And then under workspaces, you'll see a list of the different workspaces you've added. You won't see your default workspace, which is called My Workspace, but I added these 2 workspaces earlier on. And if I wanted to white label them, I could go ahead and click on the workspace name. And in the first screen, I can choose the name of the workspace itself, as well as invite clients or other stakeholders that will be utilizing the tool. But the most important part here is the white labeling and settings. Click down here and you can actually change the name of the brand. You can change the brand logo and even set up a custom domain. So I've uploaded the That LTD Life logo as my brand logo. And now I'm going to add in a custom domain. I'm going to use outreach.clientamp.com and go ahead and hit the little check mark here. Now it just gives me a simple DNS record that I can update over on Cloudflare. And it's a CNAME. I'm using the Outreach subdomain, and I'm going to send it over to custom.reachinbox.net. Go ahead and save this. Now back over in Reach Inbox, I'm just going to verify the DNS records. Looks like it works perfectly. Let's go ahead and try to load up the domain. Here it comes, and now I can log in. Notice the custom branding and my own URL. Now, it does still say powered by Reach Inbox, but this is good enough for me personally. If you need something absolutely completely white labeled, well, this isn't quite it, but it's still a really nice solution. I mean, are you really trying to trick your clients into thinking you built an entire software tool that's actually owned by a different company? I don't know if that's really a game worth playing personally. Like when I go to the dentist, I don't think he built the chairs himself. I'm okay that he got it from someplace else. What I do like, however, is I've got my branding here, I've got my logo here. It's gonna keep my brand top of mind with my client. So that is Reach Inbox. I can definitely see why AppSumo awarded it as the Cold Outreach Tool of the Year for 2024. I reviewed several cold outreach tools this year, and I did not expect Reach Inbox to blow past the other ones as quickly as it did. It was very clear to me that this was on another level in terms of the caliber of the usability and just the overall interface. Definitely like this tool quite a bit. I could see it being a monthly SaaS and no one would even bat an eye thinking that was more in the LTD level. This is a high quality tool. In fact, I'm gonna give it the highest score I've given any cold outreach tool, an 8.2 out of 10. So if you have any questions about Reach Inbox or maybe some experiences you'd like to share, definitely leave them for me in the comments down below. I'll be monitoring closely. Definitely hit the like button if you've enjoyed this content. If you want to know more about the AppSumo tools of the year, I've got dedicated videos for every single one. Check out the playlist in the description. It's going to do it for this one. My name is Dave. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.